Good day, guys. This is Dan from Cryptolite. Thanks so much for joining us. Today, we will be looking at an ICO called Mainframe. I think Mainframe is the most secure network on the blockchain, which is saying a lot given the core of blockchain is all about decentralization and security. Hang around to find out what makes Mainframe so special. Do you know there are websites like whatismyipaddress.com that can trace the IP address of any email that you sent? So if someone really wanted to, they can pinpoint your location on a map from an email that you sent. And the scary thing is, it is really easy to do. I work in a company where every year we spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to ensure our clients' data are kept safe on a secure cloud server. Because if our clients' data ever leaked out, they could literally sue us for millions of dollars of breach of privacy and confidentiality. But even the secure cloud server is a centralized storage and susceptible to hacking. Privacy and security of personal information is the biggest battle for users on the internet today, and Mainframe offers themselves as the solution to this. For those of us who understand the nature of blockchain and decentralization, we understand that the solution of privacy must come from a blockchain project because it is the only system in the world that offers true decentralization. We have specific projects like the Basic Attention Token and the Brave browser that addresses privacy in a specific area of the internet, namely advertising. But the scope of Mainframe is a lot bigger than that. From their website, Mainframe is introduced as the Web3 communications layer. Web3 stands for decentralized internet, for those of you who didn't know. And basically, Mainframe will be able to keep any communication that you do on the internet secure by decentralizing the different layers of security on the internet. Yes, there are different layers of security on the internet. Now, let me quickly run you through the 5 layers of security on the internet because this will help you to appreciate better what Mainframe is trying to do. And I have to warn you guys that because of the nature of this project, part of this review is going to be quite technically heavy. The first layer of internet security is our IP address. Most of us understand what this is, and most of us will use a VPN to protect our IP address. Mainframe addresses this by using decentralization. So then any communication sent from me is split and sent into various nodes before reconverging at the end point. There is no way to trace it back to the original IP address because of the split. The next security layer on the internet that can be hacked into is the DNS servers. What are DNS servers? Think of them like the combination of street addresses and translation services. Let me give you an example. Okay, by right, when you want to go to a website, okay, in the search bar here, you should be typing their IP address. But instead, you type a word. You type youtube.com or amazon.com. You type a word that is not computing language, but yet how do you get to a computer website? The DNS is like a large directory of all the websites, and it also translates your words into the right IP address so that it can take you to where you want to go. Now, this can also be hacked because a lot of these domain names are registered by a centralized body, and that centralized figure can get hacked or decide what you are posting, and if they don't like your posting as an authority figure, they can shut your website down without your permission. One of these was Ether Delta, the centralized crypto exchange that was hacked through its DNS last December, and many users lost their crypto. You know, in the crypto space, when we talk about phishing websites, so these are the websites that are designed to look like the original website, and then you go in there by accident and you type your username and password. They steal that username and password, they log into the main website, and they steal your cryptocurrency. These are all DNS exploits, and this is why we are so big that on the new wave of decentralized exchanges like Nix Exchange rather than the old school centralized exchanges. The next layer of the internet that can be exploited are your mail protocols. Think of this as all the spam emails that you get. How do you get spam emails in your secure email server? That's because the work done in processing emails are done by nodes, but these nodes, when they were designed very long time ago, there was no real risk of being hacked, and so they actually have no security features to them. The nodes are pure processors and are vulnerable. The fourth group or the fourth layer of security that can be exploited is the group communication protocols. So these are group chat programs such as IRC and the extensible messaging and presence protocol. These also use DNS and client servers, which are not really decentralized. So again, they're not very secure. And the fifth layer of security that I want to introduce to you guys is called hosted emails. Now, technically, it is possible for each one of us to host our own email servers and encrypt it. But the truth is none of us do. We all use hosted email platforms like Gmail, iCloud, Yahoo, etc. And all of these services are actually dependent on other third-party services for their infrastructure. So they themselves actually lack control over the data, and yet they require you and me to have a unreasonable trust that they will protect your data and mine. So for example, the FBI can ask Apple or WhatsApp or Skype for your chat details should they choose, and they can track it down. Or WhatsApp or Skype might get hacked and your details would also be revealed to whoever is hacking it. The point of it all though is that the control of your information is not in your hands, it's in their hands. Now, Mainframe wants to solve all of these security vulnerabilities on the internet, and the way it does so is through three means. One is called data privacy, so it's encryption. The second is surveillance resistance, and the third is censorship resistance. So it's not just data privacy, it's surveillance resistance and censorship resistance. Now, how do they do it? There are 5 core features of Mainframe that allow them to execute this level of security. The first method that they use to provide security is encryption. Everyone kinds of have an understanding about what encryption is, right? So in decentralization, the message or transaction that you send is supposed to get split up into various pieces. So for example, if I have a 10-page document and there are 10 notes, each note would get 1 page. But if they're not encrypted, someone could read all the 10 pages separately and then put them back together again. It wouldn't be easy to do so because there's 10 different notes, but it's not impossible. Mainframe encryption is like making multiple copies of the same 10-page document, but now putting it under lock and key. And then I send all 10 pages under lock and key to each node. So the hacker has no idea which node is processing which page, nor is he able to access it anyway because of the additional lock and key, which is the encryption. So then the content of the package is very secure. The second key feature of Mainframe is what is known as dark routing. Now, the weakness of the encryption is that the malicious hacker can still know who is the one sending and who is the recipient of the entire transaction. He just can't access the content of the transaction. Dark routing is like, imagine this analogy, right? I'm a criminal in a shopping mall and the police are outside the mall waiting for me. To make it impossible for them to identify me, I set the fire alarm off. And where there is a mass exodus of people from the mall, I go along with the crowd. And because of the sheer volume of people coming out, the police cannot identify me. Okay, now this is a very dramatic example, but it basically explains what dark routing is, which is basically distributing the packet through a whole subset of nodes and matching nodes until the volume is so much it's impossible for the malicious person to infer who is the intended recipient. The third key feature of Mainframe is what is known as incentivization. Basically, they are using a model called swap, swear, and swindle coupled with smart token mechanics to encourage or incentivize good node performance at the different stages of the transactions. The stages of transactions would include packet routing, packet holding, file storage, database storage, and while they are doing all this, they are also optimizing the bandwidth requirements and the associated costs. So it's basically a very smart way of using their token. The fourth key feature of Mainframe is their peer-to-peer architecture, and I really like this feature. Now, the Mainframe network is not only a decentralized network, it's also a distributed network. This means that firstly, it doesn't have a core authority figure, so it's hard to shut down, but the system itself is also set up so that the community supports itself. So if a node was to leave suddenly, the rest of the participants would join in to heal the gap in that sense. And when it is a peer-to-peer architecture, okay, it basically means that it cannot be shut down by anyone, okay. The For example, the most similar example I can think of is torrents. All right, we all download torrents, or we all have downloaded torrents before. Okay, downloading some torrents can be illegal. Now, the courts don't like torrents, and they can close down torrent websites. But it's impossible for authorities to close down torrent sharing in general, because for every torrent website that you shut down, another website will pop up, or another torrent website will just share a few more torrents. So this is how the mainframe system is set up, that is unhosted, is decentralized, and it cannot be shut down. The last important feature of the mainframe tech is their interoperability. So they will create developers SDKs for working with mainframe code on every popular platform and language. They will also provide oracles and smart contracts for interacting with token-based incentivization layers on multiple blockchains, for example, Ether or Neo. So those of us who joined us yesterday in our review of Chainlink, you'll be very familiar with what are oracles. Okay. In addition to all these, right, the mainframe team will also focus on providing developers with detailed tutorials and documentations, providing and supporting forums for discussion, and even offering paid service for support and counseling if needed. Now, the very impressive thing about this project is that even though they are in the pre-ICO stage, they already have a working app on their network called OINS. OINS is a fully decentralized workplace messaging tool that they developed on their app, and I think was announced in November 2017 at DevCon 3, and it was officially launched in January of this year. It's received overwhelmingly positive reception. You can download OINS on basically any platform: Windows, Mac, Linux, iOS, and Android. And besides having standard chat features, okay, so it's a little bit more than WhatsApp, who also has end-to-end encryption. Okay, besides that, it also has a configurable dark routing, micro formats, rich content, full text search, and a decentralized context storage, editing, and sharing. So this is all very, very impressive. Now we are in March in the pre-ICO stage, and they had a working prototype launch 5 months before the pre-ICO. This is super fast. Okay, they have also given other recommendations for use of the mainframe technology, which includes enterprise, consumer products, government, example the movement of sensitive information, and social networking and fintech. Now, projects at the ICO stage are usually still very much in the early stages of planning and development, but these guys are already presenting a very well thought out and advanced project with a prototype, in my opinion. Now, at this point, I tried to look for their roadmap, because I was eager to see what their plan was like, given that they are so ahead of their game. So this is their roadmap right at the end of their white paper, and to be honest, it's a bummer. Okay, I don't really consider this a roadmap because it doesn't have any dates. They have 3 stages, and the first stage is Apollo, the next stage is Hawthorne, and then the next stage is Gettysburg. Now, by this point, right, I don't really need to know each of the stages in detail, because I already have a big picture of the project. Okay, what we want from a roadmap as investors is to know timeframes, right? I know you are a good project, I want to invest in you, but how long do I have to wait to get my returns? If I invest today, can I hope to see a return next month? Or do I have to wait until next year? Or do I have to wait until 10 years later? The time frame matters, because even though the project can seem like a top-notch project, if the returns are only 5 to 10 years later, I probably will not invest in it now. I'll go invest in something else and come back to visit you in 3 or 5 years' time. Now, I tried to ask their admin on the Telegram why there weren't any dates, and this is where I got a little bit annoyed, because their admin, the name was Group Butler, kept spamming a message which said, "Please read PIN for your questions regarding presale and airdrop," which was not my question at all. And this admin just kept spamming the same message every 2 minutes to anyone who was asking any question. It was obviously a bot, or it better be a bot. So that was really annoying, because admins on these chats, they are supposed to help address difficult questions that the community have and to prevent spamming, but this one was doing the direct opposite. Now, eventually, a member of the community tried to answer me and said that apparently the team only gives guides as to what they plan to do. There isn't any dates on the roadmap because they don't want people to speculate or manipulate the price around a roadmap. Now, I don't know if this is an accurate way of looking at it, and I don't know if this was accurate information to start with because it wasn't from the team. But if it is true, I really don't think that's wise. You see, we are investors. Reading roadmap, trying to know when we should pay more attention to a project or coin is what we do, is how we are responsible in our investment. That's why every other project gives dates on their roadmap. It's also a matter of accountability for the community to know that the team is working hard and not slacking. Not having a roadmap may potentially turn investors off because we can't estimate whether or not this will be a profitable investment. I understand that the aim is to promote long-term engagement, but if you have a long-term engagement with nothing to aim for, I fear that this may backfire and actually turn investors away. One thing good though I want to mention about their social network is that their Telegram has 23,000 members, or over 23,000 members at the time of this video recording. Now, it may be because crossing the 20,000 mark was part of their requirement to start a giveaway, which I'll talk about later. But nonetheless, it's a very good sign that there's a lot of awareness and people are keen on this project. As we mentioned before, social media number is very important for ICOs because it is an early reflection of whether people will buy the coin after it hits the exchange. And that's what you want, right? If you hold on to a token in the ICO stage, you want to know that it's going to rise after it hits the market. Most ICOs would have about 5,000 members. Okay, 10,000 is a lot, and 23,000 is very, very impressive. I think I've only maybe seen one or two others, like Ethereum, have a bigger social community than Mainframe. Okay, so I think we can expect that their token price will rise quite fast after they first hit the exchange. At least that's my guess. Alright, let's look at the team. It's a decent sized team. They all have nice faces. We like faces in our ICOs because it reassures us that they're not a scam. The CEO starts his resume in a very odd way. He starts his resume and the first line says that he is a Princeton computer science dropout. I don't really know why he put it there. I mean, it doesn't make me think less of him that he's a dropout, nor does it make me think more of him as the underdog that's made it, It might impress a high school kid, but it definitely won't impress potential mature investors, which is what putting your resume on the website is for. But look, apart from that, the rest of his resume is impressive. He started the Zinch company, which has a 8-figure revenue, and he obviously has a lot of experience in startup companies. Furthermore, what I really like is that he takes the effort to invest back and mentor back into startups, which is, I think, a really nice thing to do. The CTO is a full-stack engineer for over 20 years, specializing in highly scalable web apps. Involved in blockchain tech since 2010, a master's in computer science from University of Washington. And on the website, there is a nice spiel of all the members of the team, and you can go through it in your own time in detail. But overall, I would say, there's a lot of working experience and successful experience, I might add. And the companies in the resume include Dell, Boeing, Cisco, etc. So, I mean, it's a very decent team that they have. One thing I want to point out that I was quite impressed with the team is that this team has actually been working in this security space issue for 5 years. Their first project was actually called Spatch, and Mainframe is really the result of 5 years of trial and error and a lot of experience. So what we are seeing as the vision today, they saw it long time ago, long before blockchain was even popular, and they have been very, very patient in developing it. They weren't rushing to get into the whole crypto space. So even though this project is really at a pre-ICO stage, in terms of development and maturity, it is probably ahead of many other blockchain projects. Their investors include impressive people like Lars Rasmussen, the founder of Google Wave, George L., the GM of Yammer, Sam Kavari, engineering manager at Zimbra, Shreyas Doshi, the product manager at Twitter, and many other organizations like the Presale Group, Venture Capital, Techstar, and others. So, I mean, there's some heavyweights in here, which is always impressive and reassuring to see in a project, especially in the ICO stage. The last honorary mention of their team member is their office dog, Julia, who is a Chow Chow. I have to put this in because I love Chow Chows. I grew up with 5 Chow Chows, so when I saw this pic, I was kind of sold on to the project. Okay, finally, let's take a look at their token price and mechanics. I couldn't find a slide on their website to show the tokens price or the mechanics, so I'm just going to ramble off what I found off the internet. And what I will say before jumping in is I love their token price, but I'm not a fan of their ICO token mechanics. Let's jump into it. Now, they have a total of 10 billion tokens, of which 50% will be sold at the ICO. The hard cap for the ICO is 30,000 Ether, and 1 Ether is currently sitting at 620 USD. So their hard cap then will be 18.6 million maximum, right? Now, we can work out their estimated market cap when they do hit the market. No coin will have liquidated 100% of its total supply in the first year. They just kind of release more and more over time. But usually by the time they hit the exchanges, it should be anywhere between 50 to 70% of the total supply. Now, we don't know how much they are going to release, but this is the average out there. The minimum market cap for them will be their hard cap, which is 18.6 million. If the project mints out 70% of its total supply from the word go, which is a very generous estimate, it's probably less than that, okay? Their maximum market cap from our estimate would put them at 26.04 million. So basically 26 million. Now this is an extremely tiny market cap. On coin market cap, okay, a market cap of 26.04 million will put them at rank 253rd on the crypto market. That is so undervalued. Okay, a project like this could easily be worth at least 150 to 250 million by the end of their first quarter, assuming that the general market is not crashing. And in the long term, being the biggest project to address security on the blockchain, I can foresee these guys easily becoming a billion-dollar company at least. So the token price, for my opinion, is extremely attractive as an investment. Now let's talk about the token mechanics. First of all, there is a lock-in period to prevent the ICO holders from bulk selling once the token hits the exchange markets. Okay, 31.25 of the tokens you buy are released immediately, and over the next 11 months, 6.25% will be released every month. So basically, the whole lock-in period is a year. Now, this is a very long time, really, to lock in your money. Most ICOs have a lock-in period, but they will usually give you all the tokens and only allow you to sell a portion, example 50% on a set date. And usually it's only in 1 to 2 steps, the lock-in period. Mainframe uses a model of delayed delivery of tokens, and breaking the selling stages into 12 different stages is the first time I've heard of such a complicated and long lock-in. Most lock-ins are 2 to 6 months. 1 year is considered a very long time in the crypto space, and 1 year would normally be enough to turn people off the ICO, no matter how good the discount is. It may also be a reflection that their roadmap timeframes are significantly long, and that's why the lock-in period is long. Personally, I've never bought an ICO that has a lock-in period of more than 6 months. However, in this case though, even if I wanted to get into the pre-ICO, I actually can't, because they have been very selective in choosing the pool that goes into the private pre-ICO. Okay, so there is no ICO, there is only one pre-ICO, private pre-ICO, that's all. Now, getting into the private pre-sale is not easy, okay? First, they recommend that you will have someone who is already in the private pre-sale to introduce you to the team. So that's going to be hard for a lot of people, right? And also, I was thinking, wouldn't you want to expand your pool to more unrelated people for decentralizing purposes? Why are you aiming for friends to bring in their own cliques? Because then if one leaves, all of them leaves, and suddenly you don't just have one missing node, you have like a whole chunk of missing nodes. But that's not all, okay? That's not all their requirements. Once introduced, you need to effectively be able to communicate to them what type of value you can add to the team, and you need to participate as well as a Mainframe ambassador. And the role of the Mainframe ambassador would include answering questions on Telegram and other community channels, translate and proof translations of various documents from the Mainframe, review press about Mainframe published in English and other languages, organize RRL meetups and events in your area, and attend a call for ambassadors every 2 weeks to discuss what they can do together to drive the community forward and spread the message to a wider audience. So basically in their private pre-ICO, they are not looking for investors, but they are looking for participants. Now, I like this project very much and I would love to be an investor, but I simply cannot afford the time to do all the above, especially with a full-time job and family. I mean, the requirements that they're asking for sounds like a full-time job, really. And I didn't come into the crypto space looking for a job. I just want to invest in projects I believe in, like these ones. So unfortunately, I won't be part of this pre-ICO. So sorry guys, I cannot recommend you. Now, the expression of interest has been crazy though. Okay, a lot of people want to be part of this private pre-ICO, and apparently they have already received expressions of interest over 10 times the 30k Ether hard cap. Now, when you have such an overwhelming expression of interest, okay, it's not uncommon that the ICOs will close the ICO to keep it to a private pre-ICO, like what is happening here. And then to compensate the disappointment of those who have signed up on their whitelist, the companies usually do an airdrop or something as compensation. Okay, again, the ICO scene is still evolving, but that's the current climate and expectation. Now, Mainframe is also doing something like a modified airdrop, which they call a crowd gift, and it's going to happen in 3 phases. The first phase was activated when they hit 20,000 Telegram users, and it happened sometime in the last week. And the first phase is called Proof of Being, and it's literally a physical airdrop where they will hold meetings across the world, and in those meetings they will literally drop tokens that you can go and fight and grab for, and then you exchange it for crypto afterwards. Sounds very messy and sounds like very violent meeting where people will be fighting for tokens, and initially it sounds like a very exciting and great idea, but actually it's generated a lot of unhappiness in the community because so far only 5 countries have been announced: Hong Kong, Shanghai, Beijing, Seoul and Tokyo, and they're all in Asia, and all the tickets have run out very fast. So even supporters in that very own country weren't able to get the tickets to those events. Now you have to understand why this is a problem, okay? The airdrops, such airdrops as these, are usually done to appease those who are already feeling left out, okay? Now the community has already felt left out because there was an announcement that there will not be an ICO, only a private pre-ICO, which most of them cannot participate in. So they're feeling disappointed. Then their hopes got raised with the news of a crowd gift. And then now they are told that it's a very limited participation kind of crowd gift. You have to be lucky enough to be living in those 5 cities in the world. And in the global community of over 20,000 people, you know, it's only a very select few who will get a big portion of the crowd gift event at those events, you know. So it will make those who feel left out even more left out and more jealous. You see, each of these 3 stages of crowd gift are worth $1 million each, you know, so a total of $3 million in total. Now, if their subsequent crowd gifts is something very simple, like take a picture and send it in, then a lot of people are going to participate, and each person's share is going to be very, very small, okay, like 1 out of 20,000 of a share. But if they went to any of these 5 places, okay, let's say they have another 5 places, so a total of 10 places, all right, and the pool for these 10 places was $1 million. What it means is that this physical airdrop was going to drop $100,000 into a room full of people. So then the portion of the crowd gift that these people will get in the phase 1, who were lucky enough to get it, will be so much bigger than those who will get it in phase 2 or phase 3. And this is going to stir up a lot of discontentment in the people who can't be part of phase 1. The second phase has also already been announced. Okay, it was just announced today actually. And the second phase is called Proof of Freedom. And here you have to do a task. There's a little bit of homework where you have to make a blog post to demonstrate that you understand what their mission is. And they do provide some guidelines on what kind of a blog post you can do. They also give you some suggestions on what you could do, what kind of project. For example, making a video or organize a rally or sing a song or do some audio. And then when you've done your little project, you send them what you've done and they will evaluate it. There will be a total of 1,000 people who will be rewarded. Okay, the top rank and the top 100 are in the gold rank, and they will be rewarded with 5 Ether of Mainframe tokens. The second rank, the silver people, there'll be 300 of them, each getting 2 Ether worth of Mainframe token. And the last 600 people in the bronze will get half Ether worth of Mainframe token. Now, this again is a very generous price. I mean, 5 Ether worth, that's a lot of money, and it's worth actually putting in the effort for, because airdrops will never give you that much money. But then again, only 1,000 people out of a current community of 23,000, which is still growing, can get a part of this. So just from phase 1 and phase 2, okay, I doubt that even 1/4 of the community will have a piece of the pie, which means there's going to be a lot, thousands and thousands of very unhappy people. Phase 3 hasn't been announced yet, but even if they make it something very generic, something that anyone can do, like take a photo and send it to them, the bulk of the community is only going to get a very small share compared to those in phase 1 and phase 2. So there's still going to be this big discrepancy and a lot of unhappy people. Already in their Telegram chat, people are quite vocal about their unhappiness. And at this stage, it's also not clear whether there is a lock-in period for the crowd gift tokens. The crowd gift tokens is 3 million, which is 10% of the hard cap. So it's a decent amount if everyone decides to dump in once the token hits the exchange. Furthermore, when they say it was 10% of the hard cap, that was Ethereum sitting at $1,000. Ethereum is currently sitting at 620 because the market's dropped a lot. So 3 million that they're giving away is literally 1/6 of the hard cap. That's a very huge amount. If everyone dumped it, it's going to be very bad for token price. So I'm sure that they will probably try to do something to prevent that from happening. What they're going to do, we're just going to have to keep an eye on this space. Overall, my personal take on this project is I love the vision and I love what they're trying to achieve. I support them morally 100%. I love the clarity of their tech, and I love how they have a working prototype already. I think very highly of the team. I'm very impressed with their advisors, and I absolutely love their dog. I cannot participate in the private ICO, but I probably wouldn't have anyway because of the long lock-in period and the lack of accountability in their roadmap, and I don't know what to expect. But this is a project that I do believe that when they hit the exchanges, I would seriously consider investing in them as a hodl, because I want to be part of this. I don't have time to be part of it as a participant, as a node, as an ambassador, so I'll just have to be an investor participant. The token price is extremely cheap. I think there is a lot of potential for this coin to 10x, 20x, even 50x in the long term. But again, I can't say when or give any sort of estimate because there is no roadmap timeframe to guide us. I'm really skeptical about their crowd gifting mechanics at this point. I'm afraid that a lot of the community are going to be very upset. But look, in the long-term scheme of things, this is a short-term problem, even if it does happen, right? As an investor, I'm thinking long-term, and what I'm investing in here is the tech and the functionality of the team, which is definitely there. So those are my thoughts on Mainframe. Okay, I'm going to end this here because this has gone on to be probably our longest post so far. But I would love to hear from you. What's your thoughts on Mainframe? Do you believe in it? Are you going to get on to it? Are you going to be an ambassador? Drop a comment below and let us know what you think. Are you already an ambassador and you can help to recommend others in our community? Whatever you do, whether you choose to get involved in Mainframe or not, is completely up to you guys, and we love you guys for joining us anyway. So thank you so much for joining us for this video. The regulars on our channel would notice that this video is out early, and that's because I have a personal commitment later today, so I can't get the video out tonight. So there won't be any video tonight. Also, I wanted to flag your attention to this project, and I didn't want to release it tomorrow in case phase 3 was released today, and you could have the chance to jump in early and earn some free tokens. So if you like this video, do give us a like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of our content. Nothing here is financial advice, it's just us sharing our personal thoughts and opinions with you guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great Saturday, and we will catch you tomorrow.